What's the Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike, and I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. Matt, it's been a little while. We're coming back. The main thing that happened while we took a small hiatus is that Zach Rosenblatt and Diana Rossini put out a hit piece, basically, on the Jets locker room, denouncing Saleh, basically a JV operation. And it was on Robert Saleh's birthday. And then the Jets famously birthday gated, did not wish Robert Saleh a happy birthday. You did some research that the Jets have, like, for 16 years in a row, said happy birthday to their coach. So we got to unpack a lot going on. The Pro Bowl happened. There's a lot to talk about, but mainly we need to focus on what the hell is going on inside the Jets locker room.
Yeah, you probably heard a lot of opinions. We'll give ours on the article, but it was pretty funny, Mike. I don't know what night it was, but my girlfriend wants to watch a movie, 90 Day Fiance, The Bachelor, and I'm like, hey, I got to research how many years in a row the Jets have tweeted happy birthday to their coach. Just a great life that we live. But yeah, the article itself, I think I put out key points and like 8 bullet points of my thoughts on it. The first being, don't believe everything you said, or don't believe everything they said. Now, a lot of it's probably true. I think they probably heard everything they wrote in there, but a disgruntled coach, a disgruntled player might throw things that make it sound a little worse than it is.
And to that point, Matt, think, like, what is Zach Wilson going to say if they ask him?
Right.
You know, just food for thought. But yes.
Yeah, and the most damning thing is Nathaniel Hackett is a bad offensive coordinator and coach, and Robert Saleh is insecure. And you mentioned JV operation. I can't get that out of my mind.
That's your word, by the way. That is a good term for it, coining.
And I'd argue the Jets have been very much JV since like 2011, 2012. Like, the weird things happen, the stories that come out, the tabloids, it doesn't feel great. And I get it. You're in New York and expect a lot of it. But wasn't it supposed to change in 2021? Like, you get a stable head coach, very well respected. You have a well-respected GM. And Mike, the leaks that came out of the Jets in 2021 and 2022 were minimal. And we always praised that. Trades would happen, free agent signings would happen, and we would have no idea that they were interested in that player or that they could move that player. And then Sauce Gardner at 4th overall, every Jets beat writer was convinced that the Jets weren't taking corner at 4, and they did.
And Woody even came out with like a sauce. What do you have, like a sauce bottle? What was it? Before the draft, Woody was holding like a bottle of hot sauce or something.
It was the fact that it's still insane that he did that, but he was like, I think we're going to get like the secret sauce or whatever.
Yeah, and there's still no one knew it. Yeah.
So
to your point.
So it happened in 2021, 2022. I felt like the organization was trending in the right way. And it's weird. People will equate Rodgers coming to the Jets to now leading to more dysfunction, but probably an unpopular take. He's like the only adult in the room. Like, it's a weird dynamic. And we can go a few different angles in the article. Like the leaps are a thing, and then asking for the phones. Mike, you can't do that as a head coach. You're not coaching college kids or you're coaching adults, and you have an adult staff, and you're going to ask for your coaching staff's phones if they don't talk about the leak, or if they don't tell you who the leaker is. Come on.
I agree. It felt immature, to your JV word. To that point, it does. It feels immature, and it didn't feel that way when the Jets hired Saleh and Douglas. It did not feel that way. We're like, wow, we finally have, a mature organization that's going to do the right things. And if it doesn't work out on the football field, it doesn't work out. But we weren't expecting this nonsense, just weird stories and all the bullshit. And it does feel like the Giants get covered a little bit differently. It does. You said it in your initial analysis. Maybe Rossini and Rosenblatt were a little bit pissed about their previous article that they put out.
Definitely.
Went a little scorched earth, try to attack Saleh. But yeah, and I think what happened was, Matt, this year was just the last couple of years, the Jets staff wasn't under as much scrutiny, even though they lost 6 in a row at the end of last year and people were questioning Saleh. But there were reasons why, whatever. And this was supposed to be the year that you put it all together. And of course, Rodgers immediately goes down. And it's just, hey, it's year 4. And then Saleh is probably right a little bit to say, look, my quarterback went down. What are we supposed to do? But that's not what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to just do it, So I get it. And that's why we on the side have been more, and publicly have been more mad at Joe Douglas when he goes against his own philosophy in the offseason was, hey, we're moving on from Zach Wilson for a veteran. Your veteran gets hurt. You don't get another veteran. Saleh's like, what the fuck? But figure it out. Don't have 40 straight drives of no points or no touchdowns.
And we can talk about the Giants being covered differently, but as a head coach, you shouldn't, right? And there is context around failure, right? And Saleh has to own a large portion of that. But obviously things occurred outside of his control with every offensive lineman getting hurt. Rodgers going down after 4 plays.
And it's mainly, for me, Matt, it's just the Rodgers thing. Everything else in football, everyone has injuries, but when you lose your quarterback, it's just different. And I think the offensive line had almost as much to do with it, I agree with you. But publicly, that's the one.
Yeah, and the Hackett stuff, we already knew he wasn't a good game planner. Hearing that he doesn't talk to the coaches until right before. Again, I think that's probably a little blown out of proportion. They have a routine schedule of when they meet. And the thing of Keith Carter saying, hey, we need to help Becton against Parsons. Again, I don't know how true that is. We do know Nathaniel Hackett was a bad offensive coordinator in 2023. He was bad at calling plays in 2022. So for the Broncos, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, right. 2023 Jets, 2022 Broncos, yes.
So the most damning thing is around Saleh and the insecurity. I wonder, how you now solve it. The birthday thing is hilarious. I'm sorry.
It's insane. Why'd they do that? Just tweet happy birthday. But, Matt, you tweeted out, in the morning. You were like, because the article came out, you're like, if the Jets tweet a happy birthday, the replies are going to be hilarious. But do you think that Saleh was like, don't tweet my birthday? What the fuck?
Never in a million years. If that
I don't know. I don't know.
If that happened, though, I'm like,
I don't know. Why is it never in a million years?
If
it
that
seems
happened,
exactly what would have happened.
That's worse than everything in the article combined. To be a grown man and say, hey, look, I'm going to get killed in the reply. That can't happen. I want to know. People will call out, hey, it's just a birthday thing. It's literally not a big deal. And to a point, I agree, but it kind of is weird to not do it. So,
dude, it's so weird. They wish you a happy birthday the year prior. The Jets. They made a whole meme. They made a whole meme for your birthday. They wouldn't tweet out happy birthday, Robert Saleh. It's insane.
Dude, Jude Truth, Jude on Jets Twitter, they had a great birthday one. I think it was 2020 or 2019 or 2020. They had one of him running a 40-yard dash and said happy birthday. They've done fun things like this before with fans. And they'll have happy birthday Chris Glazer, a backup offensive lineman, and they don't do it for the head coach. Kind of weird, right? But where do we now go from February 5th on? How do we now go from being a JV team to not?
Well, you want to go?
Go.
Because my take is that I think it's overblown, and I think none of this is going to matter at all. Well, I think it does matter in the long run because it's a little bit silly. I think the Hackett stuff it just feels like it's the most real because the same thing happened with Russell Wilson last year. He throws 3,200 yards and 16 touchdowns, and this year he plays well. It's got to be a lot on Hackett, and I think the play on the field's a lot on Hackett. But in terms of Saleh and the Jets, my take the whole time, and this is why the Jets didn't fire Saleh and Joe Douglas, that they came into the year with top 8 Super Bowl odds. You felt like it was going to be that way. You're going to win 10, 11 games. And I truly think the Jets would have done that if Rodgers played. So I think what's going to happen is the Jets are going to come out in 2024, win 11 games, and then none of this will matter. That's honestly what I think is going to happen. Straight up.
I just not being optimistic. I don't trust them. It's weird. I lost trust.
What does it matter? But even this year, and I agree with you, Matt, I completely lost, especially Joe Douglas, just completely malpracticing this whole thing, omitting the quarterback position is insane. You have a top 5 defense. You don't have a quarterback. You don't get a quarterback. I cannot understand it, and it will kill me forever because you threw this year in the trash. And we're going to talk how we've talked about this on the program before. We think the Jets need like 3 to 5 guys this year, this offseason. Really, that's it. And can Joe Douglas do that? I don't know. Saleh, weird behavior, acting like a child, like just being insane. But Matt, like even this year, the defense was great. You have Rodgers on this team. We agree you would have won 10, 11 games.
I would say for Coach Saleh, the benefit and the pros of him are the fingerprints are all over a top 5 defense.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will just immediately be like, oh, that's all Ulbrich. When Ulbrich had the worst defense in the NFL in 2021. Like the Jets defense in 2021 were hard. And they get the personnel in. They've developed young guys, and Saleh does get credit for that. But Mike, I also thought he was a decent game manager in 21 and 2022. And I don't want to repeat myself. I've said it before. But 2023, like every time to go for it or to call a timeout, it felt like he took a huge step backward, which should not happen in your 3rd year of being a head coach.
I thought he was okay. I thought he was better than the sentiment. Like
I thought not only was he bad, but
there were sometimes he was awful. Like the punting game, what was that? The
Browns game
was really bad.
But like that, it's not that it's bad. He made a horrific decision twice. And if you fuck up like an Andy Reid timeout, right? Andy Reid has always been known for not being good using timeouts. You can get past it if you win, right? And if you continue to lose year over year, right? 3 straight years of double-digit losses, quarterback goes down, I get it. But Saleh has to own the offense too. It almost feels like I can't control how bad the offense is because the quarterback went down. Like you can take a step forward and go into the offensive meeting with Hackett and say, this is how we're going to game plan. We got to change something. We haven't scored in 40 drives to your point. I don't trust Saleh, and he has to regain that trust. Again, he's a player's coach. Players love playing for him. Why did not a single player, young offensive player or young defensive player, tweet a positive thing about him in the past week when everything's going haywire?
Right, you just have Breece Hall liking annoying tweets about the offensive line.
The Jets players are so active on social media, and they were all radio silent when this happened. So the 2 pros I gave him are fingerprints on a defense, which he's done a good job in developing, and then the players coach. And now do I trust that the players even trust him because they've seen a lot of the warts that came through in that article. So
right. And if the Jets are in a must-win game, Rodgers is playing, and we have 4th and 1 at the 47-yard line, are they going to punt? Like, you're right. I agree. Are they going to do an insane thing twice? What happened in that Browns game? So it's tough. I'm nervous too, Matt. I think the main thing that Rodgers is going to nullify is Hackett being horrible. He is. I think he just is going to nullify it, which is massive. It's just going to be his offense. And like, even just that.
We don't have sources, but we heard in training camp that it was like a more making kind of joke about it, but yes, Rodgers will like change the play in the huddle. And then it's in the article that they actually would do that, and he didn't really respect him. It's more of a frat bro environment. All that I really don't care about. The article itself is bad, but Mike, like what I have a plan forward of how to fix it over the next 3 months. I'm curious to see how you think. Again, the Jets can go right now a clown show, and it can't just be Rodgers and get healthy and save everyone.
I disagree with you. I actually think that's what's going to happen. But Matt, you won 7 games with the worst quarterback play in football. It's the same thing that happened last year, the previous year in 2022. We won 7 games with the worst quarterback in football. If we get a quarterback, we'll be fine. We have the guy. I do. I really do. I know it's simplistic, but why is that not true? Look at the games that we lost. We lost 13-8 to the Falcons. You win that game. You lost 15-10 to the Patriots. You win that game. We lost, what else? Garbage. Like, I'm looking through our schedule now. Would they lose 27-6 to the Chargers, but that game was close the whole time. It's like you win these games that you just lose for no reason.
If Rodgers would save Rodgers very well, and if I'm betting a 50-50 shot, I think the Jets do get over that hump and can make the playoffs next year. I completely agree with that. But we have seen now 3 years of life without Aaron Rodgers with his coaching staff, and I don't trust Saleh. And Rodgers may go out and ball every day. Does it now just change the fact that our head coach is weird behind closed doors, makes excuses, is just everything. It feels
the
like
only thing that will change, Matt, and I agree with you. I like if you said Salah has to be our coach in the next 10 years, I'm not comfortable with that at all.
that's the argument. Yeah,
I'm not. I do agree with you, but in the short term, he literally will mask that issue because if you're winning these games, instead of losing 13-8, it's not about, oh, the locker room sucks, we suck, change the quarterback, change this, do that, who's getting fired. It's nice win, defense played great, Rodgers threw 2 touchdowns, we're 7-4, we're in the first wild card. Like, that's what it is. That's honestly what I believe. And I know it's short-sighted and silly. And does this coaching staff give us the best possible chance to win the Super Bowl in our short, limited window? Probably not. So it's stupid, but, there's something to be said for continuity. I think you come out, you win games, the atmosphere feels good. Like, finally, after all these years, you put together this product. You said, listen, we have this defense. We have Brees. We have Garrett. We have these young guys. If we just get our quarterback healthy and play and win, and then you do win, it's going to feel different. And you won't have these stupid articles coming out.
Yeah, I think the earlier point you made is where I'm leaning. I just don't trust Salah. Like, if Rodgers were to make say in a bad scenario, which is, in my opinion, a bad scenario, Rodgers makes the playoffs this year, they don't go far. Rodgers plays the following year, make the playoffs, they don't win at all. Rodgers retires. If that happens, I just don't trust Robert Saleh anymore, and I don't trust the front office. I think Joe Douglas had a home run 2022 draft, and then everything he's done since the Rodgers trade occurred, and he does get credit for the Rodgers trade. Everything that has happened since then, in terms of free agency, in terms of drafting, it just didn't feel. And Rex Hogan, of course, gets fired or let go, whatever you want to call it. They part ways.
Yeah.
People get mad at me for being a little harsh on Salah, the people that are defending him. I literally didn't call for him to get fired unless they're going to get Harbaugh. Yeah. I'm like, all right, you're probably going to run it back
for Belichick or whatever. You want to hire a legendary coach.
Right. So how I think we fix it is I think Woody Johnson, again, he's the one that gets murdered for it. He got the head coach we all wanted. He got the GM in 2019 that we all wanted. And he was a part of getting Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. So I know you want to sell the team, but he did the 3 things we wanted. And objectively,
I love defending Woody. It's my favorite.
Not all those things have worked out. Like, not all things have worked out. So if I'm Woody, I bring Douglas and Salah in and no one else. Get a real opinion on the front office, because a lot of the leaks came from there probably because nothing regarding the front office was attacked in that article. There's like one throwaway line about not getting a veteran quarterback, and it like defended them not doing it,
which is insane. It's so obvious to do it anyway.
Woody finds out who he can trust from Salah and Douglas, and they need to get the leaks out of the way. Figure that piece out. Coaching. Salah needs to understand that he just cannot rely on Aaron Rodgers saving him and letting the offense do their own thing. He's the head coach. He controls the entire operation.
How does he not know that? It's been like 3 years. But yeah, you're right.
Douglas. If I'm Woody Johnson, like, I go to Joe Douglas. I said, look, I don't want to overstep. It sounds like he's meddled before. You have to fix the offensive line. I do not care about what edge rusher is there. I do not care about 2025. I don't care about 2026. Figure out the offensive line. Go sign Tyron Smith. Draft a tackle at 10. Figure out receiver in a trade. Yep. We'll get a random guard who's for $6 million. Like, go do that. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you money. You have to fix the offensive line. Because if the Jets fix the offensive line and next year is a failure with Rodgers, right?
Yep.
With a healthier offensive line,
if things
are bad,
yeah,
I will be the first one to say I was wrong. Fire everybody. You can't fire the fans. I'll still be here, but we're on to 2025. But they need to get in a room and say, last offseason, once you made the Rodgers trade, you guys did nothing right. You brought in the wrong coaches. You brought in the wrong players. Figure it out. He doesn't have to say that you guys have one more year. No, he doesn't need to say that. We all know it.
They might not even have a full year. They might have half a year. It's like dude. It's like I agree with you. It's just silly this is part of the thing that makes me question our leadership. Is that how is this even a question? It's such obvious shit. That's why the quarterback thing, I can't get over it. I can't stop talking about it. I've said it 1,000 times. How when your quarterback gets hurt and you don't trust your backup quarterback who you benched in the previous season in a must-win game for Chris Streveler, and then you got a new quarterback, and that quarterback gets hurt, and you don't sign a guy for 4 weeks, and then you sign a guy, and it's Trevor Siemian. What are we doing? And then Trevor Siemian still went 2-1. So they could have just got another guy. It's very frustrating, Matt. So now Woody Johnson has to be like, oh, hey, you made a fucking garbage offensive line. Fix it. Like, you're 100% right. It's just insane that, like, we have to have this conversation. The only thing is that when the 5 linemen did play together, when it was, I don't even know if Tippmann was in this rotation yet, but when you had Becton, Lakin, McGovern / Tippmann, AVT, and whoever at right tackle.
Wayne Brown at left.
Like, yeah. It was right. You're right. Brown left, Becton right. It was not the worst line. It was fine. And that's the line that we wanted going into the year. We did say it. But that was with what they gave us. You know, they didn't draft a guy or sign another guy, which we wanted. So, yeah, to your point, the Tyron Smith makes so much sense. But, like, this is what has bothered me a lot about Joe Douglas, too. He's had these chances to go out and get big-name free agents, and he hasn't done it ever. Rodgers is the unbelievable trade. I will defend that trade till I die. So he'll give a bunch of guys $7 million instead of getting one guy who's a lot better. Or he'll give a lot of money to a guy like Lakin Tomlinson, doesn't work out. Carl Lawson, that's an injury, it's tough, stuff like that. But instead of getting the bona fide guy like Tyron Smith, like Trent Williams, you know, get the fucking guy. Don't give 3 random offensive linemen $6 million. Give the one guy $18 million this time is what I would hope he does.
I think when the George Fants and the DJ Reeds, and they're different caliber, right? But when those bargain type deals work out, they probably look around, they're like, damn, we can evaluate, right? We're pretty fucking good. We can
you just named the only 2 of them that worked.
Right.
Right. Fucking 3 years.
I think one of our staples on this program is analogies that are pretty bad, but kind of make sense. The quarterback analogy of not getting a quarterback, it's like you bought a beautiful beach house. My parents just bought one.
Yeah.
And say it's like the first floor, you need to go up a staircase. And it's the perfect house. Everything's great. And you're like, we don't have a staircase to get up there. And like Rodgers is a staircase. And like, we don't have one, so we're going to build a great one. And then immediately day one, a hurricane comes in and wipes it out.
Yeah.
And instead of rebuilding that staircase, you're like, fuck, damn, like you can't get up in the house, like can't go anymore. And you just don't do anything. And Zach Wilson's like a step stool that fucking breaks every time.
And then 4 weeks later, you get a smaller step stool. Yeah, with Trevor Siemian.
Is that a bad analogy or is that a good one?
It's a good analogy. Okay. It's just frustrating. And like, we don't presume to know everything. That is something I think that we do a good job of, Matt, is that we don't presume to know. So when there's a time like this, when there's just such an obvious move to be made and you don't do it, or you don't do anything, is insane. And it makes you lose trust in your GM. Because if I will not sit here and be like, Joe Douglas is an idiot because he signed Lakin Tomlinson. I just did the opposite. I understand the signing. The guy was a Pro Bowler the year before with Saleh in San Francisco. You want to make that your big signing left guard? Sure. I don't know. I didn't watch all of his snaps. But for fuck's sake, if your quarterback is hurt, get another quarterback. What are we doing? Like, they had more money. And then you let guys like Mike White, who's a terrific backup, walk. You know, they could have afforded him. I don't know. I don't know if that Woody Douglas. Is that Woody Johnson being like, don't do it? I don't know.
We'll have people tell us that it is. We'll have fans tell us that it is. I really don't know. I just am.
Because there's a salary cap. It's not like in baseball. If Steve Cohen is telling the Mets, like, hey, let's cap it here. Can't Joe Douglas just spend money until he gets the salary cap?
It's just like the converting to cash up front to like the Mosley restructure. You give him cash now to help us for later. Mike, if I don't know what it's February 5th, right? I think we know the clear path of, and this is what I always say, you need 22 guys to build a team, and the Jets have 11 on defense, and they have 6 on offense. So you need 5 new guys. I would rather invest every penny in the offensive line and have Alan Lazard be like the 2 receiver and hope you get lucky on like
that's what the plan was last year.
Yeah. And people think Lazard should be like literally not on the team, which they can't do that because of his contract. And he was literally inactive multiple times last year. Yeah. But in a perfect world, you can get a 2 And Lazard, who has a connection with the quarterback, could be your 3. Is it ideal? No. But in that scenario, instead of getting 5 new guys, Lazard's your 3, get a wide receiver 2, and then you only need 4 total guys, that wide receiver 2, and then 3 offensive linemen.
I'm counting that, and Lakin might stay anyway, which I get if you want continuity. If you have to get a real left tackle, then like if the Jets offseason is Tyron Smith left tackle, draft a right tackle with the 10th overall pick, Lakin, Tippmann, AVT in the middle, and then you get a wide receiver and like a fat defensive tackle. It's an insane team. It's an insane team.
In that scenario, I do think they also could re-sign Becton. I don't think Becton's market's going to be hot at all. I get if you're listening, you're probably throwing stuff at the TV, and you're like, we can't have Becton back this year. I agree. Becton can't be back as your starting left tackle. But if they get him for no idea, like a $5 million backup deal, like who is going to trust the upside of Becton and pay him over $7 million and hope that it works out?
Yeah. No, I agree. And listen, I tweeted out yesterday, I would do what I just said with the offensive line, or you could, instead of having Lakin, you can cut him and get one of these mid-level guards, which is fine for $5-6 million. And I would try to bring back Becton and McGovern on 1 year swing offensive lineman, prove it kind of deals. You still have Schweitzer and you still have Carter Warren. That's a deep, good offensive line. You're ready to go. If anything goes wrong, Tyron Smith will probably miss some time because he hasn't played a full season in a bunch of years. Yep. Then your starting tackle this year is your backup tackle. And then if Becton gets hurt, your backup tackle this year is your third string tackle. And that's how you build more of a team with depth. And you have enough weapons on offense. You have Garrett, you have Brees. You can find a receiver somewhere who can help. Rodgers will make all these guys better. You still have Conklin. You still have Ruckert. You still have, your defense is intact. It's a good team. Like Brees and Garrett Wilson should be all pro guys next year. Literally should compete for being all pro guys.
No, I agree. It's
really good.
We're getting there. I hope the staff, head coach, and GM take the next 2 months to really reflect, even month and a half to reflect before the start of the new year. We're in mid-March, free agency will open up. So I hope they take some time to reflect, figure out the shit. I got to bounce, Mike.
Are you going to do that draft, mock draft?
Yeah, the mock draft guy. Great dude. Pretty big on YouTube. Great on Twitter, big Jet fan. I'm going to go mock up a great draft.
Take a right tackle with the 10th pick.
I literally will refuse to do anything but take a tackle at the 10th pick.
No.
I think it's a 7-round mock draft, and after the 3rd round, I'm literally not going to know any prospects outside like Luke McCaffrey, but we'll figure it out.
Fat DT. We need a backup running back. There's some stuff.
Yeah, I'll get after it.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Great app. I'll talk to you soon.
Jet up.